Welcome back. Here with us on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. The parliamentary panel tasked to examine the landmark marriage age bill has stoked a row. There's only one woman in the 31-member panel, TMC MP Sushmita Dev, and she has written to the panel chief to allow all women MPs to testify before the committee. Let's straight away go across to Sushmita Dev, in fact, who is joining us live this evening on Mirror Now. Sushmita, appreciate you speaking with us here on Mirror Now. Thank you for joining us. Won't it be very lonely for you to be the only woman MP sitting with 30 men in what is called as mini parliament, really, to push what's best for women? Because in the past, we have seen your male counterparts have not really displayed great sensitivity, starting from the women reservation bill pending for years.
I agree with you that a standing committee which is actually looking into bills related to the Women and Child Development Ministry has such few women. There are two aspects to it. One is generally it is the party that sends a name of a MP of their party who should be a part of that committee. So clearly no other party did what Mamata Banerjee did, is send a woman MP in it. And the second aspect is, you see, it is absolutely critical that more women have a voice in this committee, because although this committee will hear different interest groups from across the country, but when it's debated, it would have been much better if there were more women colleagues of mine who are otherwise so vociferous and absolutely so vocal on women's issues. That's why I thought it's proper to write to the chairman of the committee that my colleagues from Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha must be called as witnesses so that they can have a say and they must be able to give their opinions.
Okay. You said that party usually sends the name. Did you also express your desire to be a part of a panel like this?
Well, I recently got elected to the Rajya Sabha, and it is my leader, Mamata Banerjee, who decides in consultation with the floor leaders. So when they asked me if I was interested in this committee, because my leadership was, I accepted it immediately, because this standing committee actually looks after three departments. One is the erstwhile Human Resource Department, which is education now. The other is youth and sports, and the third is women and child development. And I think I felt it was a very good committee, and I'm happy that Mamata Banerjee selected my name for it, and that's how I made it into this committee. And I hope that the chairman will accede to my demand and allow my other colleagues, women MPs from Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, to come before this committee as a witness so that we can also hear their opinion.
Ms. Dev, if I've understood you correctly, then in a way the women MPs have been kept out of this particular panel, maybe because of two reasons. One, either the political parties did not, suggest their names, the names of women MPs, to be part of this panel, or probably the women MPs did not express the desire to be a part of it.
Well, I don't want to speculate on their part, but generally the practice is the party leaders send the name to the government or to the chairman of the Rajya Sabha or speaker of the Lok Sabha, or to say that we are recommending so and so's name, and generally the government accepts this. That's the practice. So I don't see any malafide here on part of the government, but yes, having said that, they must come through, and they must. The chairperson of the committee must allow my women colleagues to come on, and their voices must be heard. But generally the practice is the party suggests a name and then the government accepts it as a member of that committee.
Correct me if I'm wrong, in the recent past, we have seen Mr. Venkaiah Naidu specifically asking the MPs to come forward and express their interest if they want to be in certain specific committees. So it's possible that not many women MPs probably opted to be a part of it?
You're asking me to speculate. I wouldn't like to do that because I don't know what might have happened in the other parties. But as far as I know, because I was a member of the Lok Sabha, 16th Lok Sabha, and generally your leadership in consultation with you sends your name to a committee. So the leaders of different parties have a say. That's the practice.
And MPs are also asked to indicate their preference. Is that true,
Yeah.
or just the political parties decide and
No,
then
the
name is sent?
Generally, you can ask for a committee. For instance, some people give 2 or 3 choices that I would like to go to the urban development, home, whatever. So generally, parties also ask the members of parliament which committee would you like to go to. But I can't say what happened specifically in this case because I'm not privy to that information.
I asked you specifically that question because I was just going through the past data, how the committees are constituted. And I found that, in 2019, when the committees were being reconstituted, at that time, Congress MP Rahul Gandhi wanted his name to be changed from External Affairs Ministry to the Home Department Select Committee. Then Dr. Manmohan Singh said that, probably after his 6th term in 2019, he didn't want to really join any panel. But despite that, Mr. Venkaiah Raidu had kept, a seat vacant for him in case the party will like to recommend his name for the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Finance. So, the sense that I want to get from you is that if a woman MP wants to be a part of a particular committee, then nobody can stop her. Of course, the political parties may have their own reasons, but if a woman MP wants to talk about some issue and wants to, in a way contribute in a particular panel on a particular issue, then usually it can be done. It's not very difficult.
It's not very difficult. It's the practice to consult the floor leaders. But the point is, see, what is the idea of a standing committee? The idea of a standing committee is that once a bill is introduced, it is put to scrutiny. So commonly, it is standing committee is called the watchdog of the parliamentary system in this country. So the fact is that one way or the other, I have quoted the provisions in my letter that we can circumvent this situation where there are no women, except me in this committee, and we can circumvent the situation and invite the honorable members who of the Parliament of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha to write into the chairperson or appear before the committee. So it is our duty as a member of the standing committee to hear all voices, and I feel it's imperative that we hear what the women members of Parliament have to say. So I hope that the chairman will agree to my request. And I think Priyanka Chaturvedi has also written a letter. So there's no reason why this should not be allowed. But I feel privileged that I'm there, but it comes with a huge responsibility also, because once other MPs come and speak in that committee or write, the deliberations, when it happens, that's when I'll be probably the only woman during the deliberations. And I hope I'm not, I hope I don't lose the battle. Let's see what happens.
In fact, you spoke about your letter, and I have it in my hand right now. We're showing it to our viewers as well. You're known to be a good orator and a feisty political fighter as well when it comes to the issue of rights. And it's very clear from your letter to the chairman that you want these women MPs to testify before the panel, and that should be allowed. Have you had a conversation with other women MPs as well on this particular issue?
No, I have not. I have had no particular discussion with any member of parliament. But I think, there's something called a critical mass. You see, that's how the figure of 33% comes up in the Women's Reservation Bill. So similarly, representation of women in such an important bill, which is going to impact 50% of the population of their future, sociologically, or the economic impact of early marriages and late marriages, I believe women member of parliament should have a say, and the rules provide for it. So there is no reason why they cannot come before the committee, and it matters because I think a woman parliamentarian is in a far better position to tell you the impact of this bill. I mean, I'm not saying men are disqualified and they can't come up with views which will also be helpful, I'm very sure. And I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But no doubt that when you talk about interest groups and stakeholders, women elected representatives have a direct stake in this, being a woman themselves. So they must be allowed to appear before the standing committee. And I see no reason why the chairman should disallow it. And I'm happy to talk to any colleague of mine, who's a parliamentarian or even outside, any activist or whoever who wants to give their opinion on it. But as far as I know, that if a party knew that this is a committee that involves the Women and Child Development Ministry, it is but obvious that many bills will go to this committee that impact women. I believe that they could have requested the government to put women MPs there. Generally, they are consulted, and that's what the precedent is. That's what the practice is. So, but anyway, I think it is sufficient to say that I see no reason why the chairperson will not take the opinion of women parliamentarians, and it must be taken.
Okay. Now, Rajya Sabha, as you mentioned in your letter as well, has got about 29 women MPs, while Lok Sabha has got about 81 women MPs. Do you think that it was probably just an oversight? Because if we look at other committees as well, the representation of women is very less.
You see, first of all, the number of women in parliament are very less. Number one. And remember that every party doesn't have that many women MPs. I mean, Trinamool Congress has the highest number of women parliamentarians. I mean, I'm proud to say that. So there can be many reasons why women were not sent in this. And then there are many women parliamentarians who feel, just because I'm a woman, why should I go to Women and Child Development? I want to sit in the committee for defense. I want to sit in the committee for finance or home. So there is that argument also, that there are many factors. So let's see what happens. I mean, again, I don't want to speculate why Shiv Sena didn't give a woman a BJD or DMK or AIA DMK didn't. You'll have to ask them that question. But I have given the solution to that in my letter. The rule clearly permits for women parliamentarians to come as witnesses and give their views.
Okay. What are your views on the bill?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'm saying, I'm trying to understand from you, what are your views on the bill?
See, of course, I have views on the bill. There's no doubt about it. But you see, you have to understand that every time a bill is introduced in Parliament, there are always 2, 3, 4, 5 various views on it. Now, what is the idea behind the standing committee? The idea behind the standing committee is to scrutinize that bill. Right. So there'll be different sociologists who will come before the standing committee. There will be different interest groups, NGOs, activists, and people representing different communities, castes, religion may want to come and have a say in this. You know, people from the health sector may have something to say on it because MMR is an issue. So you see, before I jump to any conclusions and tell you today what I think of the bill, I believe the very purpose of the standing committee is to hear everybody's views before you arrive at a conclusion. But I can tell you that my leader, Mamata Banerjee, when she recently came to Assam, I was with her. She's asked me about the bill and I said it's going to the standing committee. And even her opinion was that before we conclude on whether this bill is good, bad, or whether there should be amendments to it, it is better that everybody is heard, and that's the very purpose of a standing committee. So those are her instructions and her views, and I'm going to follow that. So I'm waiting to hear what people have to say about it and then arrive at a conclusion.
You know, why specifically I asked you that question? Because it is going to impact over 50% of the population in the country, the women, and they're really looking forward to the outcome, the report that you are going to give, because unlike many other bills which were passed in the Lok Sabha despite din, this was one that was sent to the select committee. So it is going to be very, very important. The outcome will be crucial because the government has been saying that it is going to be empowering the women. They'll get 3 more years years to probably study, explore better options in terms of education, career, whatever they want to do in their life. And if there's going to be a law, a central law backing it, maybe the implementation will happen on the ground too. Do you agree?
Well, there is a lot of data there that when it was increased from 16 to 18, it did impact the lives of women positively. Okay, it did impact the lives of the women positively. It's not like it didn't. Child marriages, stopped. It helped women to get into the job market or educate themselves further. There's been a lot of positive impact of changing it the first time from 16 to 18. So there is a upside to this bill. There's definitely a positive side to this bill. But sometimes there are many usages or customs, like this is about personal law, right? And we don't have a uniform civil code. So every religion, every caste, every community, some tribes, they're governed by various rules. So one will have to hear out everybody in the standing committee. And, we have the right to give recommendations for amendments or leave the bill as it is. We'll see how things unfold. And if I were to give you a conclusion today, then that would defeat the entire purpose of a standing committee. But I think there is any law
Right.
that is stable, there's a plus to it and there's a minus to it. And the idea of going to the standing committee is to come up with a better version and a more well-informed version and a more inclusive version which
Right.
takes everybody's views.
All right, Ms. Sushmita Dev, appreciate you speaking with us here on Mirror Now. We, of course, look forward to the report of the panel on this very, very important bill. Thank you for joining us.